Hey, call me Shape, and today I'm reacting to a video titled Why Two-Thirds of Young Men Are Single. Let's get right into it.
Two-thirds of men under 30 are single. And again, people lie about these numbers.
Two-thirds?
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't know that stat. Two-thirds of men 18 to 30 are single. And I think the numbers are really higher because most people, when they say they're in a relationship, they're in a situationship. And or maybe not most, but a very large amount. And I don't count situationships as relationships. And I can see the pain in your face.
Well, not to interrupt the train of thought, but the almost singular piece of advice I've been giving my son since he's graduated high school is, I don't care about any other part of what you decide to do with your life. Find a woman that shares your values and team up with it.
That's very Italian. My father, growing up, said the only thing that matters in life is honor, Rudyard. I don't care if you're poor. I don't care if you're a failure. I care that you have honor.
But all right, so keep going.
A third of men under 30 are virgins. Again, I assume that's an undercount. And so this is a huge issue. And
so this is the incel revolution, which is one of
exactly, yes. And so let's say you work all the jobs and then you can't afford to have a family or you can't get laid. What's the point of working the job if there's not the reproductive payoff? So that's one. Second thing is you can't afford a house to support kids because that's through the roof. And keep in mind, young people spend 2/3 of their income on rent.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I did that when I got out of school. I worked in Viacom at New York City. I didn't make enough. I was just racking up credit card debt, and 2/3 of my income was the rent. That's exactly what it was.
That's also New York City, though. Like New York City.
No, all of America is New York City. It seems.
Exactly, yes. But New York City is a peripheral. Like New York City is a horrible example. That might have been normal when you were in New York City, but now that's the whole country. And it also rent is money that's not. It's not like economically reproductive. So there's certain
it's not an investment in
exactly,
an asset.
yes. And so that's a second thing. So you have mating issue, you have rent issue. That's
what's the heart of the mating issue? Very briefly, because I mean, Chris Williamson spends a lot of time on this kind of stuff.
Yes. So the shortest answer I could give is I would say it's heavily an economics issue due to the structure of dating apps, where dating apps, and I'm friends with a lot of like dating content creators. This is something Homath has also said, that dating apps are the thing that killed it. Where you look at the chart of male virginity, it jumps from 8% when the iPhone was invented, and then it immediately went up to 27% over a 10-year period. And that's due to the introduction of dating apps. And keep in mind, over 60% of relationships today are started online. For Gen Z, I'm going to guess it's higher. And
this is like the harem effect. It's like one high status male attracts all of the attention of the females and the...
Yeah, words kind of like that. I think it's very interesting. 8% of men were virgins when the iPhone was invented. Now it's up to 27%. 60%, meaning most relationships start online. It's a wild times, and I was in the barber shop, and I just got a haircut, and I was talking to my barber. My barber's older. He just he's in his 50s now, and he's married. And a lot of men older don't understand what's going on because they never had to make an Instagram or dating profile. Like, these are the new skills you got to have on top of being attractive, fit, good with women, and the fact that most average women don't like average men. These are the challenges right now for people that are young. You got to be good at things that people never had to be good at before. So you have to have a presence online, right? No one wants a guy who doesn't get a bunch of likes on his pictures or a bunch of comments with hard eyes from other girls, right? Why would date a guy like that when you could date a guy that has all the girls, right? People want that. Women want that. So it's become harder. I've said this before in my other videos. I've done amazing on Hinge. In fact, right after I'm done with this video, I'm going on a date with another girl from Hinge. This is like the 15th date this year. This is the end of the year. And I've dated several girls and went on a lot of dates. But I know I'm rare, all right? I know that a lot of guys, well, my situation is rare. A lot of men don't experience this. A lot of them struggle. My advantages are I am pretty good looking and I'm pretty charming and I know how to make a profile. But you need to learn how to do that as well in order to compete in this world. And it's unfortunate because I don't think everyone's going to have that natural ability. I used to be a photographer, so I'm good at taking pictures and framing stuff and creating stories from that. So anyway, all this stuff is shocking. And if you're a single guy, I know what you're going through.
Disparities there leave everybody else like, oh, what are you, under 6'2"? Forget it.
And I think I blame dating apps the most because if you were to go back to like 2015, this is a much healthier ecosystem and there was still feminism, there was still all these other things, and then the dating apps and the screens. And when people give dating advice, the most common dating advice is go to group events, go to community stuff. But if you look at what the average Zoomer does, the average Zoomer spends 8 hours a day on screens. I think even independent from work. And so what that means is no one's going outside.
Yes.
And so if no one's going outside, that creates an issue. And I look at...
It's the problem of, even from a parenting young kids perspective, if you want to send your kids outside
Yeah.
and no one's outside's super boring.
Yeah.
And so pretty quickly you're like, well, I put you in the backyard and you're there kicking dust around. And after 30 minutes, I kind of understand you don't want to stay outside because no one's outside.
Outside's a parking lot. And because people say, I mean, it also annoys me, people say, Roger, you should touch grass. And like, I've hiked the Appalachian Trail. I've lived in 7 countries. I've traveled around the country. I've done a lot of cool stuff. Going outside is what got me to believe this stuff because I talked to people outside and they were not satisfied. And outside, I was on the Tom Bilyeu podcast and I was in West Hollywood and I thought, I'm going to run a test. I'm going to walk around for an hour. And if there's a homeless guy in this wealthiest, I'm going to sightsee the homeless in West Hollywood, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the world. And there was this homeless guy doing PTSD shakes and screaming, I want to hurt someone. And I thought, there's no reason for this. This neighborhood's very wealthy. You could choose not to have this guy here, but it's a sign that's outside. And
Go outside. Oh no, I might have fentanyl needles thrown at me from a crazy person.
Fentanyl's Philly's greatest export recently. It's from Kensington. And
yeah,
look, I mean, so we're watching two guys kind of discuss this, and do they really know? I don't think they really, really know. You know what I'm saying? Because, dude, any of them look like they just have it figured out. The one guy keeps blaming dating apps, but why dating apps? The reason why dating apps is because now you have a lot more competition. It's women that are making this harder. I'm not blaming women, but if you give them more access, they're going to take advantage of it, okay? And so right now, the average guy who used to just compete with guys from a girl's hometown, from her friends group, and maybe from her place of business, like where she works at, now you got to compete with everybody online, okay? I know a girl that an NBA player found her on TikTok, flew her out. Yeah, flew her out. Just a smash, okay? This is what's happening now. Girls have access to NBA players, which back in the day you had to meet them or maybe go to All-Star Weekend or something like that. But now you could just show your butt online and they could discover you. How convenient. And so guys have to compete against NBA players. Guys have to compete against wealthy people in neighborhoods that neither of them has ever been to. Okay? Girls are going to Turkey and Dubai and they're getting paid to do it. Right? You wonder why all these girls are taking trips and you never see a man with them. A lot has been paid for. And so, yeah, what I think is going to happen? What I think is going to happen is this. Is that all this is going to come to a rearing point where something's going to have to give. Because I don't think this is sustainable. Not at all, And I foresee that, here's a cocktail that we're in, right? You have dating apps. You have feminism, right? And you have the fact that women require more skills from men. Those skills being, you know how to create a social media platform. You get along people on social media platforms. You have a presence on there, right? Like, you got to be up to date with that. And so, very few men can do this. And we see some of the results of this, right? We have a declining, what they call it, birth rate, right? Birth rates are down, right? Or is it the repopulation rate? Is the I don't know. Is it a repopulation rate? I don't know. Something with, replacement rate. I guess it's the replacement rate, right? And, I've noticed over the years that I've had a lot more success on dating apps. I've had success on dating apps before. But I feel like I'm having a lot more now, and I just feel like because less and less men could keep up with all the laundry list of requirements that women have. You know, it's hard enough to be an attractive guy that's fit. To multiply with the fact that a guy who is clever enough to not fall in the feminism pitfalls of conversations where if you say the wrong thing, a girl's gonna. I've said the wrong things in relationships, and girls are just like, "I'm done with you. I'm done." You know, so you got to learn how to avoid that, right? Not say something that comes off like you're misogynist, but you're not really misogynist. You're just being like based. You know, but you have to learn how to like avoid those pitfalls, right? In conversations, right? Like right now when I talk to a girl, like I try to keep it so light. We can't even talk about the dating crisis that we're in because we have to focus on just having a good time. Like when I go on this date, I'm just going to be focused on nonsense, small talk, things that you should be like frowned upon because it's like if you really want to have like a real connection with someone, you have to have some real conversation. But you can't do it anymore because everyone's so sensitive. You know, people are so polarized. I had a girl ask me, "Who did you vote for? Like, did you vote for this person? Did you vote for that person?" I said, "I don't talk about politics. I don't." Because can you imagine having an argument about politics when women view politics from an emotional standpoint and men we view it from a rational standpoint? Most men or most women. You know, I like women who could look past the nonsense that's on, the legacy media channels, right? The legacy news channels, you know, and buying all the crap, the propaganda that's being spewed by these companies. But most of them don't. If you say that someone's evil, they're going to believe it. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. He's bad. You know, and so, yeah, I don't even know what to say other than that. It's hard. It's not as hard for me personally. I like making these videos because it has gotten harder for me in a sense of like, I don't think women have been this difficult. And I haven't seen an improvement in the behavior of women since I started on dating apps back in like 2013, 2014 till now. So the last 10 plus years, 12 years, I've been on dating apps. Wow, I'm aging myself. The last 12 years on dating apps were, it's easier to talk and connect with girls back then. But now, because people talk so much about dating, like dating wasn't part of popular conversation back in the day. You know, the red pill and these different communities, they were kind of like underground. But now the red pill's mainstream. Everyone's talking about red pill. I never thought red pill was going to get to this point because I was watching red pill content, you know, back in 2018, 2019. So I'm actually really shocked that is at the point that it is now, you know. We never thought, you know, no one that was ever part of this culture ever thought that red pill was going to go mainstream. And if they thought they thought that it would have been, you know, a bad thing, and largely so it is. Now people use it against you. You can't let a girl know that you're red pilled, right? You know, she's going to compare you to Andrew Tate because Andrew Tate was probably the most famous person that came out of the red pill, right? And so, you know, I feel for what's going on in society. I'm really curious what's going to happen next. And I don't know what the solution is. I really don't, because you need more social skills now than ever before. And people have less social skills because no one's, like they said, no one's going outside. No one's socializing. 60% of relationships come from dating apps. You literally need to have skills to bag a girl through a screen. Right? You need to have digital game. You need to bag a girl through a screen first before you get on a first date. Right? That's one additional step that never happened before. So, you know, my hands are up in the air like, you know, we might have to throw the towel in. I really don't know what to do.
So the dating situation is a complete catastrophe.
Dating apps would be the second most unequal country in the world today, where it would be behind South Africa and ahead of Venezuela. And it's the worst possible equilibrium because I know lots of guys in that top 20% and they don't like it either. Where the guys who are doing well on the dating apps, hedonism's overrated, I've consistently found. Like the guys in that 20%, they mostly don't actually like being there. Past a certain threshold of hedonism, they do actually want to get a girlfriend or get married or that stuff. But the apps don't sort for that kind of person. And so they sleep with these women as a way to get around not actually having a better alternative. And I think society treats men as more cynical and more basically animalistic than men are. I think most men are actually very kind. I think most men have the natural paternal instinct in them.
Well, one of the things to speak to that, when my son was born, and I've talked about this on the show because in some ways it is the animating force. I was working at Spike TV. My wife, Lisa, we got engaged and the pregnancy happened right around that time. And so we were relatively young. Like,
Yeah.
I'm under 50. My son is going to be 20. Would have been normal. Now I don't know anybody that's got kids that old at my age. It was so exciting to become a dad.
Yeah.
It has been the thing that has anchored my reality. I don't care about my political opinions. I don't ultimately care whether my work succeeds or fails. All of that's gravy because of my family and because of especially my son. And but the narrative, like, it's like there was a revolution for men that just didn't get acknowledged. Like, my wife and I, and this is true of all of my peers.
Yeah.
We aren't like 1950s men. Like, we were changing the diapers and getting up and wearing the backpack on the front thing that Baby Bjorn or whatever the hell that thing was called.
Yeah.
We were doing all that stuff. And yet the public cultural narrative is still like bumbling Al Bundy that doesn't carry his weight.
Yeah.
And like, I did this whole ad campaign at Spike TV called True Dads. And it was like, hey, one of the ads was like, we know you, super mom, the work, the kids, but what about you, Dad? Where's your super title?
Yes.
And it's like, we just literally never got one. It was like, do better, guys. Do better. It's like, we've been doing better. What are you talking? Who are you talking?
Dads are forgotten. Dads are forgotten in society, mainly because there's not a lot of dads. There's a lot of single moms, and single moms make other single moms, and it honestly makes very feminine men. So yeah, a lot of people can't relate to having a great father. It's just not common, and it used to be. It's not common anymore. And he's right. The archetype, the stereotype of a man now, still is this bumbling, dumb, fat, out of shape idiot that needs to rely on a woman to keep him in check. Because without her, he's just going to fall apart. And so I feel like most women are expecting that kind of guy, and they actually want that kind of guy. Why? Because they could be empowered. They could wear the pants. They could be in control. And I said this before. Feminism is this interesting thing where I think feminism hates women. I really do. And because it worships what it means to be a man and tells women that should be their standard. That should be their goal, to be like a man, to earn as much money as he is, be independent as he is, sleep around and have casual sex just like he is, because everything, if a man can do it, why can't I do it? That's like the argument. And I tell people all the time, take it up with the Lord. He's the one that made things this way. People don't want to accept that women were invented by God to help men. People want to believe that men and women were invented to help each other. That's not how it goes. Our job as men is to carry out God's divine order, right? God has a mission for men, a purpose for men, for us to cultivate, for us to rule, for us to have value, to be valuable leaders in our community, and tame the world, if you will. And women's job is to help us do that. But a lot of women think they're living on this planet for their own pleasure and their own well-being and to have a good time. So, listen, I want to be happy too, but there's a lot of purpose in life. Like, I'm making this video. What do you think? Like, you don't think I'd rather be sleeping on my couch, relaxing, or whacking off or something? But I'm living my purpose, right? My purpose is to communicate this message to a bunch of young men, have a discussion, we'll talk about it in the comments, and continue on. That's my purpose, okay? If I have to be a lightning rod for a change, I'm going to be that. Like, I'm not going to just sit around and indulge in pleasure all day, as some people believe the world was designed for. If that was the case, being fat, sloppy, and out of shape would be okay, because clearly that person's having a good time. But no one admires that. You admire someone that has discipline, the one that could delay gratification, the one that could focus on a goal worth achieving rather than fleeting pleasure. But that's just my thoughts on it. I'm going to let these people talk a little bit more, and then I'm going to read some of the comments.
That's a good point because it brings up the point I was going to make. There's no incentive to cooperate inside the system. So you're talking about why someone would show up to work and not do a good job. And I can completely understand that because that was me in school. And if I had a job, I don't think I'd work hard at a job if I had a normal job now. I would be completely disaffected. And I work hard in my current job because I have a sense of investment in it. And also, it's my work. I'm responsible for it. I can do it how I want. I have agency. If you don't give men agency, men aren't going to work.
Good point. I think that is a great point that he ended with that. You have to have agency over your life. I say every man needs to get his own place. I got my own place. So guess what? I could work on my purpose uninterrupted. I could hang out with girls uninterrupted. I could pursue my dreams uninterrupted, you know? Cook, eat, sleep, shit, smash, everything I want to do uninterrupted. Okay, and if you interrupt me, my lease clearly says that I am entitled to quiet enjoyment. Yeah. So I'm going to have an issue with you and the landlord. Trust me. Anyway, let's read some of the comments and we'll take this bad boy home. First comment reads, 1/3 of women in a relationship are sharing the same guy. Facts. I strongly believe that because women want a guy. I don't know if people realize this, but you know, if you're too available, you fail what they call the availability test. And she's not going to like that. So a lot of women, for whatever reason, I don't know psychologically why, you know, maybe because it's a sign that you're busy. It's, you know, a proxy for you being productive. But they want a guy that's not always available. So, you know, when you're dating one girl, you're not available. When you're dating another girl, you're not available. I understand how this comment makes a lot of sense. So I agree. Another comment says, sure, it's a shame that 90% of American men will never be considered wealthy enough to attract a woman to start a family. It's hard for me to believe that. I don't believe 90%. You know, I believe more like 95%. No, I'm just playing. No, look, poor people have kids all the time. I don't know why people think, when I hear people say this all the time, oh, women are about money, women are about money, women are about money. But a lot of them got broke baby daddies. So please explain that. If women are so into money, you know, explain why they're with some brokey and they make more money than him. Because that's the case. Right now, a lot of women are outpacing the earnings of men. A lot of women that are my age, they're currently outpacing how much I earn because they're working for some high-paid company while I'm trying to be an entrepreneur. And you know which one's a lot harder. But guess which one has a higher upside? Me. Anyway, next comment says, these women be getting mad when you tell them you're not raising another man's kids. Facts. You know, the whole single mom and single motherhood thing is a shocker to me because it's the audacity I feel like some women have that you got to look, they want you to value them as if they have no kids and they feel like they can compete with women that have no kids of equal stature. And I just don't see how that's the case. You know, listen, if you're unfortunately you're a single mom, I get it. I get it. You know, should it be the end of your world? No. But you have to assume that even yourself, you can't compete with yourself when you had no kids. Forget about other women, just even yourself. And then on top of that, because you have a kid and you can't compete, you're not as competitive as you used to be when you had no kids. You have to realize that it's a liability for most men, and most men don't want that liability. I'm just saying. I know you don't. I know it seems far-fetched. I know it seems sad, and it shouldn't be this way. But life is a terminal disease, you know. And if you make some mistakes, there is no fixing it. You know. I hope every single mom could understand this and get with the appropriate man that they could command, you know, because listen, if there's a guy out there that you think is really desirable, he's going to try to get the best potential partner he can get. And you have to respect him for that because you're trying to do the exact same thing. You got to respect him. Another comment reads, I heard an interesting quote once that goes something like this: learn to control your lust and you will realize that 90% of women are completely uninteresting. Yeah. You know, the sad thing about that is that even though lust, we know that looks are not enough, the truth is you treat someone better if you're more attracted to them. And people treat you better if they're more attracted to you. So even though lust seems arbitrary and something that we should ignore, the truth of the matter is it brings a better version of yourself out when you're dating a girl that's attractive. Trust me. Like, if you want to improve in dating, one of the best ways to improve is to date a girl you're really attracted to and grow through that experience. Because what it's going to teach you is going to teach you patience. It's going to teach you tolerance. And it's going to help you evolve as a man because you actually have motivation, right? You're going to be motivated because here's a girl you're really attracted to. And so you're going to do the right things. You're going to want to be romantic. You're going to want to be faithful. All these things are inspired by looks, right? Should it be? No. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. An unattractive girl won't get the same loyalty from me as an attractive girl will. She just can't. And vice versa. Anyway, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Channel blowing up. I appreciate you guys. Check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you over there.